Steno Wale Babu welcomes you. Shorthand dictations in male and female voice from all sources like magazines, speeches, and editorials at various speeds up to 120 WPM for various departments like SSC, DSSB, CRPF, Delhi Police, etc. Please like, share, and subscribe the channel. Thank you.
Exercise number 23. It is clear from the discussion made herein above that the said case was not one relating to compounding of offence. Apart from that, the court found that the dues of the banks have been satisfied by receiving the money, and the suits filed by the bank in the civil court have been compromised. The FIRs were filed in 1987, 1988, and the investigation had not been completed till 1991. On those facts, the court, rendering the judgment in July 1996, felt that having regard to the lapse of time and also having regard to the fact that there is a compromise decree satisfying the bank's dues, there is no purpose in allowing the criminal prosecution to proceed. On these considerations, this court held the provision of Section 482 of Criminal Procedure Code. In the facts of that case, the learned judges held that the bank filed suits for recovery of the dues on account of grant of credit facility, and the suits have been compromised on receiving the payments from the company concerned. The learned court held it an offence of cheating in prima facie constituted. Such offence is a compoundable offence, and compromise decrees passed in the suits instituted by the banks for all intents and purposes amount to compounding of the offence of cheating. In that case, the court came to the conclusion, since the claims of the banks have been satisfied and the suits instituted by the banks have been compromised on receiving payments, the court felt that the complaint should not be perused any further, and therefore the decision of the High Court in quashing the complaint does not require any interference under Article 136 of the Constitution. It is therefore clear that no legal proposition has been laid down on the compounding of offence in Duncan's Agro. This court proceeded on the peculiar facts of the case discussed above. Therefore, the said decision cannot be an authority to contend that by mere sanctioning of a scheme, the offences committed by the appellant company prior to the scheme stand automatically compounded. Reliance was also placed on the decision of this court in the case of CBI New Delhi reported in 2005. In that case, reliance was placed on the decision of this court in Duncan's Agro as such. The court found that the aforesaid scheme, being a voluntary scheme introduced by the Government of India, has provided that if the dispute and demand is settled by the authority and pending proceedings were withdrawn by an importer, the balance demand against the importer shall be dropped and the importer shall be immune from any penal proceedings under any law. The court also came to the conclusion that under the Customs Act 1962, the appellant have been discharged on the scheme granted them immunity from prosecution. On those facts, the court held that the immunity which has been granted under the provisions of Customs Act will also extend to such offences that may prima facie be made out on identical allegation, namely evasion of customs duty and violation of any notification under the said act. The court also found on a reading of the charge sheet and the FIR that there was no allegation against the appellant of any intentional deception or of fraudulent or dishonest intention. On those facts, the court held that once a civil case has been compromised and the alleged offence has been compounded, the continuance of the criminal proceedings thereafter would be an abuse of the judicial process. Reliance was also placed on the judgment of this court in the case of CBI and other. In paragraph 30 and 31 of the judgment, this court held that dispute between company and the bank have been set at rest on the basis of compromise arrived at between them. The court noted that bank does not have any claim against the company. The court possesses the question whether the power of questioning criminal proceeding was suffering from some disability. A person to represent the aforesaid category of persons is only competent to compound the offence, and in such cases the permission of the court is statutory required. Section 320 subsection 4 clause B also reiterates the same principle by providing that when a person who is otherwise competent to compound an offence is dead, his legal representatives as defined under the Code of Civil Procedure may, with the consent of the court, compound such offence. Therefore, representation of the person compounding has been statutory provided in all situations. Relying on the aforesaid clause in section 147 of the NI Act, learned counsel for the appellant argued that a three-judge bench decision of this court in Damodar case held that in view of the clause in section 147 of the NI Act, which is a special statute, the requirement of consent of the person compounding in section 320 of the code is not required in the case of compounding of an offense under NI Act. This court is unable to accept the aforesaid contention for various reasons. Thank you.